Hi, and welcome to the Miele Kitchen Experience virtual session. My name is Jen, and I'm one of the Miele Culinary experts. Today, in this session, I'm going to take you through all the cooking appliances Miele has on offer to help you guys make a decision on what will best suit you for your lifestyle and in your home. I'm going to start talking about the design of the appliances and the colour. I'm then going to talk about the regular conventional ovens, steam ovens, speed ovens, warming drawers, and cooktops and Rangehoods. So firstly, we're going to talk about the design and the colours of the Miele appliances. Behind you, what you see is what we call our clean steel. So this is a black oven with stainless steel through there. We then have another option of white with a white handle, black with a black handle, and grey with a grey handle. They also come in handleless options as well. Generally, the Miele ovens are 60 by 60 centimetres, what you see here. Our combinations are mainly 45 by 60, which is what you see here. Our warming drawers are 29 centimetres, or we have a shallower one, which is 14 centimetres. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about our ovens and the differences between our ovens and how they vary from appliance to appliance. With the Miele ovens, the main thing that Miele has that differs from a lot of other brands is a function called Moisture Plus. This function gives you the ability to release bursts of steam into the oven. The reason we want to release bursts of steam into our oven is because for things like bread, which we've got cooking here, it helps the bread to rise nice and evenly. It stops the crust forming too early on the bread so it doesn't split. With cakes and baking, muffins, scones, it also helps them to rise nice and evenly so the crust doesn't form too early. So you get lovely, light, fluffy scones, lovely, light, fluffy cakes, and you don't get that peaking, which you can often get when you're just using a regular oven with no steam. What the Moisture Plus also is really good for is roasting. When we're roasting meats, it helps to keep the meat beautifully moist, and with something like pork, which I'm about to put into the oven now, it also helps with the crackling. So the majority of the Miele ovens will have this Moisture Plus function. If you're thinking this is something I wouldn't use, I don't really bake or I don't really roast, then we do have the ovens that don't have this function, and they're part of our 2000 range. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how this Moisture Plus works, and I'm going to cook this pork. You'll be able to see the results once this pork comes out of the oven, how crisp the crackling is and how moist the meat is. So what we do to select this function is we turn the oven on, we then go into oven functions, we then select Moisture Plus, and then we decide how many bursts of steam we want. You can also do this automatically. The majority of our ovens also have automatic functions. So if you think, I don't know how many bursts of steam, I don't know how I'd do that, you can just select an automatic program and it will do it all for you. In this case, I'm going to do it manually because I've cooked roast pork many a time and I know how many bursts of steam and when I want them released. So I'm going to select Moisture Plus Auto Roast because we're going to be roasting this. I'm then going to select my temperature, which I'm going to start off at very high temperature initially because that'll get my crackling nice and crisp. And then I'm going to select Continue. I'm then going to select a manual burst of steam because I want to choose when the steam goes in there. And then I'm going to press Continue. The oven has then asked me to hold a container with at least 100 mils of water under the water intake pipe, which I'm going to do, and then it's going to suck up the water. You can hear it sucking up the water, and when you hear it stop, you know that it's finished. I'll remove that. I'm then going to close the oven door, and away we go. In about 5 minutes, I'm going to release that burst of steam. Now you noticed I put that in the oven without preheating it. The reason being is that Miele's ovens only take 4 minutes to come up to temperature. So they get to that very high temperature very quickly, which means we don't have to worry about preheating. So it eliminates the need to do that. So that's your Moisture Plus function. The other function the Miele appliances have, which differ from other brands, is that they can all be connected to Wi-Fi. So I can control these appliances from my phone. All I need to do is download the Miele app. I can then add my ovens, and I can control these ovens from anywhere in the world. Now I'm just going to take you through the range of ovens. We do have a big range, and it can be quite overwhelming when you see the number of ovens we have. If we look at the 2000 range, that's our simpler manual ovens. So if you're looking at an oven that's got dials, you'll know that it has fan plus, conventional heat, intensive bake, fan grill, all the functions that you need, but there is no automation and no Wi-Fi connection. If you think I would really like that Wi-Fi connection, I'd like to be able to control it from my phone, I'd also like that Moisture Plus function, then you're going to be looking at what we call our 7000 range. In the 7000 range, you have got that Moisture Plus function. You've also got a food probe. So if you're someone who cooks a lot of meat, the food probe is very beneficial because you just pop it into the meat. Once the meat reaches temperature, then the oven switches off automatically. I can do this with this pork. I've got the food probe in the door here. If I pop that into my pork, like so, I then close the door. It will then recognise that there's a food probe in there. Yes, I want to continue cooking with that food probe. I then enter the core temperature. I then go OK. Now this oven is going to switch off when that pork reaches its core temperature of 60 degrees. So that means perfect cooking every time without overcooking or undercooking your meat. The other thing the 7000 range of ovens have, and the 2000, but not all models, is something called the pyrolytic function. The pyrolytic function means that you can clean your oven automatically without having to spray it, scrub it, like other models. What it does is it turns the oven up to a very high temperature. It burns off all the soiling and grease on the inside and turns it into a fine ash. Now with some of the Miele 7000 series, you can actually leave the oven racks in. So I can leave these oven racks in, and I can also leave the oven racks that slide in, and it will clean those, so they're safe to stay in there. Over here we have the 7464, the 7660, and the 7860. Now if you're looking at those, you probably think they all look the same, but they do have subtle differences. If we start with the 7464, this model here, we have what we call our direct sensor display. So we're touching and okaying. We have the pyrolytic cleaning functions, and we can leave these racks in when we're doing that clean. We also have the Moisture Plus. We have over 75 automatic programs, and we have a food probe that we plug in. If we then go over to this model here, this is a 7660. So with this model, we now have a touch screen. So similar to a smartphone or a tablet, we're touching and swiping, and we have more automatic programs. We still have the wired-in food probe, and the Moisture Plus and the pyrolytic cleaning. Now this model here that I'm cooking the pork in, this is our top of the range model. This is the 7860. So in this model here, we have a wireless food probe. You can see there that I've plugged it in, so I'm not restricted by where I can put the food probe. This model also has a camera. So when we've downloaded the app, we can actually watch our food cook and check on our food, so we don't have to come back into the kitchen to see if it's cooking. We have more automatic programs on this model as well. These three models also have something called taste control. This is a fabulous function, because if we are cooking something using an automatic program, or a duration timer, at the end of the cooking, the oven door automatically opens. It opens this far, and this blows out all that hot air so your food doesn't overcook. If you haven't returned to the oven within half an hour, the oven door will close and it will keep your food warm for up to 2 hours. And it's an absolutely fabulous function if you're wanting to rest meat or something like that. So these 3 ovens that I just talked about, the 7464, the 7660, and the 7860, they all have that function. So for me, really, when you're choosing an oven, it depends firstly on how you like to cook, what your budget is, what things you want from an oven. If you just want a basic, straightforward, simple oven, you'd be looking at the 2000 range. If you're a baker or you like to roast meat, then I would definitely suggest going up to the 7000 range and having that Moisture Plus function. If you do like to roast meat or cook meat, then definitely look at the 7464 upwards, because that has that food probe. And if you like to look at your food while it's cooking, well, you'll be purchasing the 7860. So I've taken you through the Miele ovens. Now I'm going to take you through the Miele steam ovens. Steam is often a new concept to most people. So I'm going to give you a brief outline about how you cook in a steam oven and the benefits of cooking in a steam oven. When you're cooking in a steam oven, you're cooking with steam only, so there's no radiant heat. So what happens is the steam's taken from a water jug in the side, or from a water jug up here, or it can be plumbed in. The steam is taken from the water tanks to an external boiling unit where the steam is then made and generated. It is then injected into the cavity through multiple injection points. The food is then encapsulated with steam and is cooked very, very gently. The benefits of cooking with steam is that it locks in all the flavours and the colours. So something like broccoli, asparagus, salmon, which I'm about to cook, retain all the colours and the majority of the nutrients. There are many things you can cook in a steam oven. It's not just about steaming vegetables. You can cook your breakfast, so you can steam your eggs in the morning, poached, boiled, soft boiled. You can do your porridge. At dinner time, you can steam your new potatoes, steam fish. You can even steam meat. It's a great way of cooking meat. By steaming meat, you're locking in all the flavours and moisture. So although it comes out with no colour on it, all those flavours are locked into it and the meat remains beautifully succulent. We then sear it on the cooktop afterwards to give it that colour. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how you can cook multiple items in a steam oven. I've got some new potatoes, I've got some asparagus, some eggs, some broccoli and some salmon. Now all these items are going to take different lengths of time to cook. It's a bit of common sense really. So potatoes, they're going to take the longest to cook, so I'm going to put those in first. Green vegetables normally only take a couple of minutes. Fish and meat cook in half the time. So salmon would normally take about 8 minutes to cook, but because we're doing it in the steam oven, it's only going to take about 4 minutes. So it's going to cook really, really quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the potatoes in first, because they're going to take the longest to cook. We then select oven function, then steam cooking. 100 degrees is what the majority of our food will cook on. And I'm just going to select these to cook for 12 minutes. Then I'm going to add the salmon, the broccoli, the asparagus and the eggs into the oven and reset it for another 3 minutes. So while that's cooking, I'm going to talk through the difference in the steam ovens. So Miele have a straight steam oven, which looks like this, a steam microwave, which looks like this, and a steam combination oven, which looks like this. So if you are someone who doesn't do a lot of cooking in the oven, then you'd probably be fine with a regular conventional oven and a straight steam oven. If you're someone who likes to use a steam oven and a regular oven and you can't be without your microwave, then a steam microwave would be the option for you. If you're someone who wants a regular oven and you also want a second oven, then a steam combination oven will be for you. Now, a steam combination does all the things a steam oven does. So you can steam your veggies, you can steam your grains and pulses, your rice, you can steam your fish, you can steam your meat. You can also reheat and defrost in a steam oven. But you can also use it like a regular conventional oven as well. So you can bake your cakes, do your roast, do your grilling. So it's 2 ovens in 1. The steam microwave can be used as a steam oven. So again, steaming your fish, your vegetables, your eggs, your porridge, all those things, your meat. But you can also use it as a microwave. So you want to reheat that cup of tea, reheat that meal, then a steam microwave is a good option. A steam microwave can also be used in combination. So you can use it as a steam oven and as a microwave and cook your rice in 7 minutes. So most of your cooking is done by the steam, but part of it is also done by a few 300 watts of microwave. So it's a quick way of steaming your food. If you're just having a straight steam oven, you've just got steam only, so no radiant heat and no microwave. So really, if you're trying to make a decision which model is going to suit you, you've got to think of the way that you cook. If you're someone who likes to entertain a lot, and you have multiple dishes, you want your dessert in one oven and your main course in the other oven, then a steam combination might be the oven for you. If you mainly steam your food and you occasionally need a second oven, then you'd probably be fine with a straight steam oven. If you're someone who really needs a microwave, you depend on that microwave for your popcorn, for reheating really quickly, zapping that cup of tea, then a steam microwave would probably be the option for you. The steam oven is probably my most favourite appliance. The reason being is the food tastes so good when it comes out of the oven. It's a very forgiving appliance because you're never going to burn anything. You're never going to dry anything out because you're cooking mainly by moisture. You can do 80% of your cooking in the steam oven. The only things you can't do is browning. So you say you can't bake a cake. You could still do a brownie and you can do sticky date puddings and things like that, desserts, but you won't be able to do, say, a roast. However, you could still start your roast in the steam oven. What I often do is I'll put my chicken into the steam oven and I'll steam it for half an hour so it's beautifully moist and nearly cooked all the way through, and then I'll put it into a super hot oven to get that skin nice and crisp. And that way it's still beautifully moist, but it's got that crispness on. So you can do partial cooking if you want to. So I like to give the day in the life of a steam oven. So when I wake up in the morning, I'll put an egg in there, either a poached egg or a soft-boiled or hard-boiled, and I'll have my toast in the toaster. I will do porridge, so I'll put the porridge in there and I'll put frozen berries on it and steam that. And both those items only take 4 minutes to do. Then when it comes to lunchtime, I can just maybe do a risotto if I'm at home and got people round for lunch, because it's very good with grains and pulses. When you're doing something like a risotto, you just pop it into the steam oven and you leave it there for 20 minutes. There's no need to stir. So that's one thing with the steam ovens. You basically set and forget. You pop it into the steam oven and you can walk away. There's no pots boiling everywhere and turning temperatures up and down. It's constant. As you can see here, I'm cooking my potatoes and I'm not having to wait for the water to come to the boil and then them simmering away and turning it down. It just gives you a bit more hands-free. It also means I don't have a whole lot of steam going through the kitchen either, and a whole lot of pots and pans. And when it comes to cleaning, it's really simple, because all the containers that come with the steam oven, they can go in the dishwasher, and then it's a case of just giving it a wipe out. So it's super easy to clean. Nothing's burnt on. It's very easy to clean as well. So I've talked about breakfast, lunch. Also, when it comes to dinner, you can cook multiple items in the steam oven like I'm doing now. So if I want to do potatoes and vegetables and fish or meat, I can do that all in the one appliance. Now, like I'm doing here, the thing that takes the longest to cook, you put in first. I've put the potatoes in first because they take the longest to cook. I'm only partially cooking them. So in a minute, I'm going to add my other items, which is my salmon, my broccoli, my asparagus, and my eggs. Now, they all take the same amount of time to cook, so I'm going to pop those in next. They'll take 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, the oven will stop and I'll pull all the items out together. So again, a really efficient way of cooking because you're only using one appliance to cook multiple items. So this is just about to finish, so I'm going to add these next appliances. Now you will see a bit of steam coming out of the oven. That's absolutely fine, and that steam is not hot. It's warm. It's not going to burn me, so you don't need to worry about that. So I'm going to open the oven and you'll see the steam coming out. Now I'll just show you, it's not hot. I can put my arms in front of it, so don't worry about safety. It also dissipates very quickly. It feels like a lot of steam at first, but it's not really because it dissipates so quickly. So I'm going to add my next items. And I'm going to reset the duration timer for 3 minutes. So it'll take a bit longer than 3 minutes because there is actually the heat up time. We don't need to figure that in because the oven does that for us. So all I need to enter in is the 3 minutes. Once it reaches that temperature, then the oven will start cooking the food, but not before. Now, this is just telling me to fill the water jug up. So some people worry about it boiling dry. You will never do that because it will prompt you to fill it up with water if you've forgotten to do so, like I had. This model here is our top of the range steam combination model. Now, it also comes in a plumbed-in version. So if you do have access to plumbing and you are looking at this steam combination, so that's the regular oven and steam oven all in one, I'd recommend getting the plumbed-in version because that saves you having to fill up that water jug and empty that one. So that's got about another 3 minutes to cook, and then I'm going to pull it out and show you how vibrant the vegetables are. So that's got 3 minutes to go. You won't be able to taste them, unfortunately, but hopefully you'll be able to come in soon and taste the vegetables. The steam ovens can also be connected to Wi-Fi, so you can control them remotely, which is very convenient when you're wanting to see how long something's got left to cook and you don't want to have to come and look at the oven. You might be talking to guests, entertaining. It's very handy just to be able to glance at your phone and see how much longer you've got. As with all our appliances, you can also do delayed starts. So what I often do if I've got people coming around for dinner or if I want to get something in the oven and take the kids off to sport, I'll put the food into the oven, I'll select the function and how long I need it to cook for, and then I'll select a delayed start time, or I'll select a finish time when I want the food to finish by. By doing that, it means I can put the food into the oven much earlier in the day, go out and then return home to a cooked meal. Now, most food is perfectly safe in the oven. I wouldn't probably be doing it with chicken or fish, but most food is fine to sit in the oven for a couple of hours. So I find that feature really helpful. I also especially like it when I'm having people around, when I'm entertaining. So what I do is I'll put all the food in the oven in the afternoon. Then once my guests arrive, I'm not having to think, oh my goodness, I've got to get that in the oven. It's already in there, it's already cooking, and it will switch off automatically. So I'm not thinking, oh, I've forgotten to switch it off and burning something. So the delayed start feature on the Miele appliances is very, very useful. So our salmon, eggs, broccoli and asparagus are now done. So I'm going to remove those from the oven. Now when I'm taking things out of the oven, I like to put a tea towel down on the door, and then I pull out the food, and then it won't drip everywhere. So as you can see, we've got the broccoli, beautifully green and vibrant. And the water coming off there is nice and clear. So we know that the nutrients and the colour are remaining in the food. Here we have the salmon. And if you wanted colour on that, you could always flash it into a pan quickly. We also have the potatoes. So these are new seasoned potatoes and they're going to be beautifully creamy because they've been done in the steam oven. And then lastly, asparagus and eggs. So that is a number of items cooked in one oven, and I haven't had to stand over watching it. So I'm going to put this together and we're going to create a salmon niçoise. So a version on the old tuna niçoise, but this is a salmon niçoise. So I've just got some greens there. I'm going to add my new potatoes. So we just scatter them around the plate. And this is actually a lovely dish to do on Boxing Day as well. I like to do this. It's nice and light when you've had a big meal at Christmas time, on Christmas Day. The tomatoes I've done, I did those in the warming drawer. I am going to talk about the warming drawer next. So they're basically semi-dried tomatoes, and one of the functions of the warming drawer is that you can dry food in there. So I've semi-dried the tomatoes. And then the salmon. So you can see the salmon, it's beautifully cooked. And what I like about cooking salmon in the steam oven, because salmon's a great fish because it's nice and sustainable. It's a great fish to use to cook. But what I like is it's not so oily and rich because the fat doesn't render out of it like it does if we're cooking it in a hot pan. And then we add the tomatoes for a bit of colour. And then you can just do a simple vinaigrette on the salad. I'm going to crack the egg. So everyone's always quite surprised about how you just cook the egg in the shell when you're steaming. So now this should be nicely coddled. And I'm just going to grab a knife. And you can see how beautifully that egg's cooked. So we just put the finishing touches of our egg. And there we have a lovely, healthy, simple lunch or dinner or breakfast, all done in the steam oven. So the pork is now cooked and the taste control has kicked in. So basically it is finished cooking. The door is now open slightly. It's pumping all that hot air out. And then if I didn't come back and take it out of the oven, the door would close and it would keep that pork warm. However, I am here and I am going to take it out. So I'm going to open the door and you can see that the pork is now perfectly cooked, as are the vegetables. For people that are looking for a second oven and a microwave, Miele do what we call a speed oven. So that's a combination microwave. So that's a microwave, so it has all the features of a microwave, but it's also a regular conventional oven. So I have a model here. This one is grey and handleless. It also comes in the other colours as well, so the clean steel, the white and the black on black. This one's handleless. So if I turn it on here, I can then open the door by pushing this button here, and the door automatically opens. So a speed oven as I said, can be used as a straight microwave, and it can be used as a regular conventional oven. So you can do your baking and your roasting and your grilling in it. You can also use it in combination mode. So what you can do is cook something on, say, the Fan Plus, say bake a cake, have it assisted with 300 watts of microwave, and then it's going to cook in 30% quicker. This appliance comes in two models. The 7840, which is this model here, this has our touch screen, so our M touch screen. So we touch and we swipe. We also have the 7440, which is our direct sensor, so you're touching and okaying. The differences between the models, this one here, the 7860, which is our top of the range, this one comes with a food probe. So this can be plugged into the side and into our meat. It also has more automatic programs than the 7440. Now, both our speed ovens have Wi-Fi connection, so they can be connected to the Miele app and you can control it from your phone. So if you're trying to decide between the two models, usually you would decide on your oven, and then your second appliance would match that oven. They don't have to, but that's usually what most people do, so the controls match up nicely. This one, the top of the range, the 7860, also has a food probe. So again, if you're someone who likes to cook meat, you're not confident in cooking meat, or even if you are, that food probe is a great feature because you basically pop it in, you can walk away and you'll have perfectly cooked meat. Both ovens also have hundreds of automatic programs, and that's the great thing about the Miele appliances, is these automatic programs will do everything from start to finish. You put the food in, it will start at a high temperature if it needs to, it'll drop down to a moderate temperature if it needs to, and then the oven switches off automatically at the end. So the speed oven is for those people who want a second oven, but they also want a microwave as well. So the next appliance I'm going to talk about is the warming drawer. It comes in two sizes, 14 centimetres in height or 29 centimetres. The 14 centimetre one being if you were putting two ovens side by side, so a steam combination and an oven, you can fill in that gap with the warming drawer. If you're going the vertical way, you can have your ovens and then a large warming drawer at the bottom. Now the warming drawers aren't just a warming drawer for keeping plates warm and cups warm if it goes under a coffee machine. You can also cook in them. So they go up to 85 degrees, so you can do low temperature cooking in them. So fantastic for those stews and casseroles in the winter. You can throw them all into your roasting dish, pop them in the warming drawer and leave them in there all day and come home to a lovely cooked meal. You can also do low temperature cooking, so you could even put something like an eye fillet in there, cook it for a couple of hours, and then it's beautifully cooked and sear it on the cooktop afterwards. It's great for meringues, and it's also great for drying berries or fruit. The tomatoes I did earlier in the warming drawer, the semi-dried tomatoes. I've also done some meringues, so I'm just going to open the warming drawer now to show you the meringues. So they took 2 hours to cook, and what I love about doing meringues and pavlova in the warming drawer is that they remain completely white, so they don't get any colour on them. So if I switch it on here, you've got 4 settings. You've got a cup setting, so that would be if it's under a coffee machine, a plate setting, so that's great if you're wanting to keep your plates warm. You've got a keep warm setting. Now the keep warm setting is brilliant if you want to rest meat and free up your oven, or just keep food warm because someone's running late for dinner. It won't dry your food out either. It's a fantastic way of keeping food warm or resting meat. And then the last function on there is the cooking function. So that's fantastic for cooking the types of meat I talked about earlier, or any slow cooking. So if you're trying to decide whether you want a warming drawer or not, I would highly recommend it if you've got room for it. I just find it invaluable, especially when I'm entertaining, for putting food in to keep warm and meat in to rest. And it's also fantastic for doing the pavlovas and meringues. I've never cooked better ones than I do in the warming drawer. I'm now going to talk about cooktops. Miele has a large range of both induction, gas, and electric cooktops. Probably our most popular are our induction. The reason being is that they're so quick to heat things up and you can control the heat very well. So the first thing I'm going to do is talk about induction cooktops. Now, induction works by creating electromagnetic waves. This causes vibration in the base of the pan. Now, this vibration is what actually heats the pan up. So you're not losing any heat out the side. All the heat is generated in the pan. This means your pan heats up very, very quickly, and especially when it comes to water. So those large pots of pasta water come to the boil super quickly, unlike gas and electric. Now, once we turn on the cooktop, Miele cooktops have instant pan recognition. So they instantly light up which control you need to use for that zone. So I've got a pan here. The zone that I need to use has come alight. If I don't choose it within 5 seconds or so, the cooktop will switch off because it presumes that you're not actually cooking anything. So it's a safety thing. So I've switched this on. I've now chosen the boost function. Now the boost function means that it will generate a lot of energy in that pan, so the water will heat up super quickly. So we use the boost function for heating large amounts of water. The cooktop I'm using here has the range hood built into it. So as soon as I turn it on, the range hood kicks in and it starts sucking that steam down. Now induction, I do really like because I've got really good control of what I'm cooking. You've got a large temperature range, you've got very low temperature settings, you've also got very high temperature settings, and you've got everything in between. So if I'm making a roux or a custard or something, an egg-based sauce, something that requires you to stir it continuously, lemon curd, you can actually just leave it on setting 3 and just stir occasionally. You're not having to stir all the time because you've got that really precise temperature. Induction cooktops are also really safe because what happens if I've got this pan cooking away here and I go off and do something and forget that I've left the pan on the cooktop, as soon as it starts to get too hot and overheat, the whole cooktop switches off, and that's a safety feature. Also, if I take that pan off and leave the cooktop on, after a couple of minutes, the whole cooktop will switch off as well. Now, as you can probably see, this water's coming to the boil, and our extraction fan is sucking all that steam down the side. So it works incredibly efficiently for a downdraft. This particular model here is one of our KMDA models. So if you're someone who doesn't have the capacity to have a range hood above or behind, this is a really good option. Now we do have a large range of cooktops. We have 60 centimetre induction cooktops, we have 80 centimetre induction cooktops, and we have 90 centimetre induction cooktops. We also have what we call a full surface cooktop. So that means that you can put a pan anywhere on the cooktop and it will work. This one here that I'm using, this is zone. So I either put a pan here, or I can join the zones together and put a large pan there. Now they also have timers on our cooktops as well. So if I want to, I could pop my egg on there and time it for 3 minutes and it will switch off automatically. For some people, it's hard to decide, do I go gas, do I go induction? It's really up to you, because I know some people love the flame, they love the gas. They're used to cooking with gas. But in my opinion, if you like that preciseness in cooking, you like that exact temperature, and you like something that's easy to clean, induction's a really good option. Now, as I said, we do also have gas cooktops as well. So we have a 3-burner and a 5-burner in different models. So if you'd like to know more about those, please have a look at the website or talk to one of the Kitchen Things consultants. Once you've decided on what cooktop you want, you can then decide on the range hood. Miele has a large range of range hoods. We have built-in range hoods, we have wall-mounted range hoods, and we have range hoods that pop up from behind. so they can be built into your bench. Once you've decided on the cooktop, you can then decide on the range hood. Now, depending on the size of your cooktop will depend on the size of your range hood, because you want it to be at least the same size as your cooktop or even bigger. Again, the type of range hood you purchase or want to look at will depend on the way your kitchen's set up. The built-under ones are the ones that go into cupboards. If you want more of a feature, you could have a wall-mounted one. And if you want something a bit more discreet, you could have one of our built-in ones which pop up out of the bench. So again, you can go and look at those on our website, and your kitchen things consultant will be able to help you with which one to choose. In the session today, I have given you an overview of all the Miele cooking appliances. Sometimes it can feel a little bit overwhelming, and that's where the consultants come in to help you break everything down. What we did today is we covered the design of the Miele appliances, so the different colours and sizes. We talked about the ovens, the Moisture Plus, the Pyrolytic Clean, the food probes and the differences between them, and I cooked the pork. I talked about the steam ovens and the different models of steam ovens, and I cooked this dish here, the salmon niçoise, which is multiple items in the one oven. We also covered the warming drawers, where I cooked the meringues and I also did the sun-dried tomatoes. The bread was cooked using the Moisture Plus. You probably didn't see that. I also used an automatic program, so I popped it in the oven and it cooked it automatically. Lastly, I talked about the cooktops, induction mainly, but we do have the option of gas and electric, and I covered Rangehoods. I hope you've enjoyed it. And please, if you do have any questions, we're here to support you, both at Kitchen Things and at Miele. Thank you.